who else can mentor their child. And so it's basically just going through, not parenting. We're not talking about parenting children. We are talking about helping parents to know how mentoring can support their child, how you can use, even though you are a parent, how you can use the methods of mentoring and coaching to take your child through. I'll give you an example. When my children were very young, before they went to school, I used to, put them in the buggy, we'll go for a walk. And I started teaching my children numbers and letters and colors by just asking them, what number is this? Of course, we read and we do all those things. But, before they went to school, they knew a little bit more about colors. They knew a bit about letters. They knew about things because it was just those conversations and those interactions I had with them. They picked a lot up, and it may seem like a very little thing. And it may seem like, oh, isn't that what parents do? But that's an assumption, because some parents might think that, oh, okay, I'm not going to bother. I'll wait until the child goes to school. So one of the things we impress on our parents is you start from when they are very young. When they are very young, interact with them. Don't put them in front of the TV. Don't ignore them. Church is good, but you have some parents just basically leaving the education to the school and leaving the education to church, and then they are out of the equation because it's almost like someone else will be taking over that responsibility. And this is what mentoring, our form of mentoring when it comes to one-to-one, this is what it is about.
Okay, all right. Well, you made mention of parents are best entities to be able to bring out the best out of children. I like your analogy of the lychee, right? But let me ask, there are some parents who hardly would want to present themselves to their children as having made some mistakes in the past. That is to say, they present themselves as being perfect. And as such, they just want perfection out of their children. To what effect do you think that helps these children to grow up to become wonderful people?
Okay, I mean, if the question is directed to me,
yes, it is to you.
So,
yes,
I'll go there. Yeah, I like that because obviously our platform is made up of quite a number of professionals, and as parents we will make some mistakes, but I think it's a very good question because and also I've got the advantage of seeing different parents coming from diverse backgrounds in my work as a neurodevelopmental pediatrician. And the advantage I have as a neurodevelopmental pediatrician is I see children who have developmental problems affecting learning at school, and I see different parents who put that sort of pressure on their child because they can't understand why they are a professor or they're an engineer or they're a doctor and their child has learning difficulties, and they try and give them all the tutoring and everything else, and nothing happens, you see. So how I go about this when I'm dealing with parents, either in my personal life or in my professional life, I do tend to say to them that use, and I think that is something that resonates with parents, and I've resonated with parents. I say to them, go at their pace, you see, because one thing about children is if you put too much pressure on them, they will not produce. And I do have that same experience being a mother. I come from a home of high achieving, either in my immediate family or my extended family, and I learned very early, very, very early, that it doesn't matter what your genetics and what your personal genetics is. Your child will come with their own set of genetics. And so therefore, you shouldn't expect your child to be you. I knew right from the start. I remember my children, they were not even 10. They looked at me and said, "Mommy, we do not want to become doctors." They weren't 10. Those two boys looked at me and said, "Mom, we don't want to be doctors." I don't know why they said that, So right from the start, I knew that it's all about the child, their potential, what they are good at, and it's about being happy. It's about resilience. What do they have? What giftings do they have that can help them become more resilient? Because it's a hard world. When they become adults and you force them to go and do medicine and they end up not liking it, or you force them to go in engineering and they don't like it, that even knocks their resilience down. So the advice I'll be giving to parents who are very high achieving parents who are putting that sort of pressure because they feel that they come from this family of doctors. So, oh my goodness, I mean, he wants to play football, or he wants to become a musician. My advice to them is stand back and nurture your child's talents, because children come with different. I mean, there's this film. I don't know if you've watched Forrest Gump. I love it when he said, life is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you get, And I'm not saying it with a tongue in cheek and I don't mean it in a sarcastic way, but this is exactly what it is. We are all different, and we all come with our unique talents and unique gifts, and so we should be treating those children like that. These artists, they come with their unique treasures, unique gifts. They are not clones of parents. So if the child cannot be an engineer, what can they do? That is what is important. And what giftings do they have that you can nurture, so that the most important thing is that they are happy, and then they can be resilient.
Okay. All right. That's a very beautiful one. Let me go to Samantha now. And I want to hear, Samantha, why is it so important to mentor our children through school?
So, listening to what Susan has been saying, I'm totally in agreement. I think it's getting them when they're quite young. It's important, but by mentoring, it also doesn't mean that you're enforcing something onto them. What mentoring is supposed to do is supposed to help them establish their own goals, okay, with some help, with some guidance. And you would be doing the same thing if you were dealing with an adult. So if you're dealing with children as they're coming through the system, is to listen to what they want to do. I think that's very key. I have a real thing. My children went through the grammar school system. And so what the subjects that are set tend to be very standard, if you know what I mean. It's not where other schools will have maybe media studies and also, so they're quite set. You've got your sciences, you've got, your religious studies and all that sort of thing. But I've also got this thing where there's an opportunity for your child to learn another subject, one other subject, they might decide they want to do PE. Just add that in. If they come in and they say want to do that, let them do it. They want to do drama, for example. I mean, my son mixes his drama with business. I don't think that it makes any sense, but it's actually going to something that's probably going to help him in his creativity. So as a mentor, when you're taking them through, it's just you're guiding. I think that's for me, that's very important. If we don't do that and we force or impose on them, then that's no good. And also when people think about that, it's not coaching. And I think sometimes it is difficult. I would suggest that people, if you've got friends, say for example, you've got friends who are doctors or your friends who are pharmacists, and your child is interested in any of those areas, use your network to get some mentors, because sometimes it's quite difficult also for you to mentor your own child, apart from doing the usual thing. This is what Susan was saying about parenting. But if you are asking for help, look into your network. If you can't find it in your network, look elsewhere. There are lots of, come to people like us. We'll guide people through it. But I definitely think that it's very important, because it's all about having a plan. Okay, having some kind of a plan. And I think I would worry if I felt like an 8-year-old was sitting around thinking, oh my goodness, I'm losing my mind because my mum thinks I should have a plan. It's just working through their interests. Because actually through their interests, generally there tends to be some kind of a path in there.
All right. Quite interesting. But before I go to Marvin, I don't know, you guiding your children and what have you, Back in Africa, we have strict parenting, right? Parents always tell you what to do. You have to do that. You have to do that. I don't know. There hasn't been. I can't tell of any proper statistics that has given us the outcome of such way of bringing our children up, right? But to what extent would you say you allowing or you guiding your children and giving them such freedom of choice and what have you will make them so much better instead of getting them wayward? We all don't want our children to be wayward, and we would want to make sure we put them in a corner that we want. Now, we're giving them such freedom of choice and what have you. To what extent would we be able to prevent waywardness in our children as well?
I think it's that question, I can answer a little
Yes.
bit of that, and maybe one of the others can sort of continue. I think for me the key word is guiding. It's guiding. When you're guiding someone, you're essentially, they kind of know where they're going, but you're holding their hand. That's your job as a parent anyway. So, depends on what your child decides. But I'm definitely not from that school of it's what I say is what goes. That's how we grew up, and that's how I saw my grandmother. When we lived in Ghana, it was the same sort of thing. But my parents were a little bit more liberal. I will give them that credit, because they would say to us, look, it would be really good. For example, I was, you're argumentative, or you're somebody who's very thorough in what you do. Maybe you want to become an accountant, or you're somebody who's really good at debating. Maybe you want to become a lawyer, but it may not be what you want to do. And I think I can understand that sometimes it's difficult, because sometimes it's not all parents that even have the knowledge to guide. And again, that's when you go and get some help. But it's important that you do stay involved. You can't just either let them go off. They come in and they say, well, I want to go off and become a musician. And you say, okay, that's great. And then they say, well, I'm playing with a band, so I'm sorry, I'm going to be spending evenings with my friends playing. You want to, at all times you tell them you need an education to back that up. But you also say, if they want to do it, well, you say then you do it properly. That's how you guide. We can't. I'm not sure that we can continue to use that it's my way or the highway. I personally don't find that as good parenting, and neither do I find that as a good way to guide and mentor people your children going forward. Yeah.
Good.
Can I interject here and add on to what Samantha is saying? It's a very good question you've asked, because it is what we call cultural mentoring. Yeah. Now, any good mentor or coach would know that when you are mentoring anybody or coaching anybody, you have to take into account the culture. And culture is not necessarily where you're from. Culture is your mindset. Yeah. And I'll give you an example of a cultural mindset. In Ghana, when somebody is saying to you that I'm coming to see you at 12 noon, you know that they're coming to stay for 4 hours. I love my people, yeah. But we are Ghana time and then UK time, yeah. The mindset is different here, and the mindset is perhaps different in some parts of Africa. I don't want to stereotype all Africa, but this is our beautiful culture. This is who we are. So when I am in a situation where I am finding that I am working with a parent around mentoring, I will put into consideration the culture. And the unique thing that our platform is the fact that the people in the network, we've got this sort of duality where some of us were born here, like, well, Marvin grew up here, practically. You can hear from the way he speaks. He's younger. And we have some of us who born and grew up in Africa or elsewhere, and then we've come here when we're perhaps in our 20s, and then progressed through our career, lived here, had our children. So we've got this beautiful duality where we know our culture. We are well anchored within our culture, and we are also well anchored within the culture we live. Yeah. So we have that in mind. And this is where when when I'm working with a parent like that, we'll have to explore what it means by going wayward. Wayward. This is where we start from. I'll start from, okay, what do you mean by a child will go wayward? You see, so wayward will be the first thing we'll look at. And then we'll start exploring the understanding of waywardness and my understanding of waywardness and how they think that they can prevent that. And how, so we'll look at the cultural influences, because we have to be careful about whether we like it or not. We all have cultural mindsets, and people, whether we like it or not, it doesn't matter where they live, they will have those influences. So this is how we work, and then we'll explore, and hopefully we'll come to a position where we can understand that, just like my Samantha said, giving a child a choice doesn't mean that they'll become wayward. And then we could use examples of our own experiences, and that's the beautiful thing about mentoring, where ages as they get older, where you can release things a little bit, why it's important to explore, so you are putting that positive spin on the child's giftings and the child's talents, and you are supporting the parents to explore that. And I don't think any parent will sniff at that. I don't think so. I think every parent wants their child to succeed. So if you come from the point of the child's strengths, you see, then they can then look back and see, okay, actually, anytime this child does math, they really struggle. But when they are on the PE ground, oh my goodness. Or when they are singing, oh my goodness. So we help the parent to start looking at that. So it's not just about the child, oh, mom, I want to do that, because I do agree. We need to guide our children, because in fact, a lot of the time they don't really know, because what we call executive function, they haven't matured in the brain to know sometimes what they want. So I agree. But there should also be that working with the child to help them to explore their own strengths. And at the same time, you are increasing their self-esteem. And as the child has more self-esteem, they develop resilience. And resilience, like what we spoke about the other time, is one of the 1 R's that you need for lifelong learning. And especially in a country where a lot of us are the minority, one of the best qualities you want to give your child is being happy and being resilient. And if they have that, they can achieve a lot. And this is what mentoring brings out. But we do understand the cultural differences, and that is why we've set this up, because of the unique position that we find ourselves, as most of us on the network, having that cultural duality of being here and coming from elsewhere.
Beautiful. We're talking to you one-to-one mentoring network this morning on a very beautiful topic, the importance of mentoring our young ones through school. We have Madam Susan, Madam Samantha, and a very fine gentleman, Marvin, on the line as we speak now. You might be wondering, how do I get in touch with these very wonderful souls? Very soon, as we are about to round up, we will give all the details as to how you'll be able to use their services. No, don't worry. I know they will look after you. It comes for free. Don't worry. Yeah. So they will look after you very, very well. Let's go straight away to you, Marvin. Marvin.
Yes.
This is my concern. I know your two fellows have spoken about the importance of mentoring our young ones. Now, you see, there are so many instances that people live from the pains of the past, right? Instead of living with the learnings of the past. And there are so much experiences many parents have gone through from childhood. Some of the experiences, if some of the parents are talking to you about them, you'll be marveled. Now, to what extent or what programs have you gotten so that you would be able to help parents free themselves from the pains of the past and pick the learning from them, so that going forward they will be able to train or guide their children from the learning instead of using the pain to treat their children.
Okay, cool. That's a quite a comprehensive question, but thanks for that one. So in my opinion, regards to past experience leading to um formulation of a child's development, in my opinion, you, you can, it depends how you want to look at it. So if you're looking at it from a positive perspective, past experiences can make an individual or can put a person in a scope where they can then use their past experiences in a positive way to influence their kids or their children, right? And then you have ones where their past experiences can lead to a negative approach where, due to their past experiences, they might want to shield their children from what they have experienced, and that can lead to a negative spin as well, right? So regards to what we're doing and regards to how parents can coach or guide their kids to have the right attitude or to find themselves on the right path. That's why we are present, right? So as my colleague said, we have a diverse portfolio of different individuals, right? I spoke initially about coming from a path where I found myself as a mentee. Am I still being mentored? Am I still learning? I learn every single day, even through work, right? So, in my opinion, if we can make ourselves available, so let's say a mentee or a child or an individual comes to us, say, I need support, right? It's best to engage with that individual, let them know who we are, and also go back with that child to their parent to understand the dynamics of where they find themselves, right? So, as you asked, by talking to that parent, by engaging with the family they find themselves in, you can understand the family dynamics, the child's experience, the parent's experience. And even by engaging with them through communication, you can see where they're at, right? So understanding what the scope is, understanding what the issues are, if it's positive or negative, we can then make ourselves available through our diverse portfolio, through case studies where, with our own personal experiences, to support that family to be able to give that child a structured and a positive spin in regards to what they want to achieve, right? So we're available. We'll have a diverse portfolio. Understand that individual, what their needs are, understand their background in regards to the culture they're coming from, right? And I'm from a culture where I was born in Germany. I lived there for probably just a few years, and I schooled in Ghana, right? Till secondary school. I went to St. Augustine's College, and after that, I came here. Yesterday I was on YouTube following the National Science and Maths quiz, right? But it's all about it's all about it's all about understanding the dynamic or the background of the individual you're engaging with, and by engaging with that individual, you understand what their needs are, understand their parents' scope, because the parent will love to know, what are you engaging yourself? Who is that person who thinks they know enough to guide you? So it's understanding the dynamic to be able to give a positive spin, right? Because life experiences can formulate who you become or can influence any closed circuit people you have around you. And I found myself on that journey. So I understand how it works. And I've benefited of people who've made themselves available to give me a path where I find myself in, right? So in my opinion, it's all about communicating, understanding the individual you're looking to mentor, being that mentee, and understanding the family or the attachment they find yourself with. So without understanding that, there's no way you can make yourself available to support an individual, in my opinion.
Yeah. Papa, can I add to Marvin? Marvin, thank you very much. That's lovely. Yes. So Marvin is describing what we call life coaching. Yeah. And there are different areas of coaching and mentoring. Where a lot of it, we always say that if you're a coach or mentor and you don't explore obstacles, then you've not done your work. And if you can remember, I quoted this equation: potential minus interference is equals to performance. Yeah. So the interferences in our lives are the obstacles. And some of those obstacles cannot be just your external obstacles. Yeah, because you live in the UK, and so some doors might not be open to you, or you can't speak a certain language, but the internal obstacles are equally very important. And so definitely it's within the remit of mentoring and coaching to explore those obstacles, those experiences, and at the same time, like what Marvin said, contribute the mentor or the coach's own personal experience to help the parent realize that they can overcome those experiences, or they can draw positivity out of those experiences to be able to help their child.
Beautiful, beautiful. I can certainly feel that you all are well endowed in what you are doing. You have learned from your experiences, and you intend to help people with that awesome vast of knowledge that you have all gained. Let me go back to Samantha. Samantha,
Yes.
excellent.
Did you want me to say present, sir?
That would have been okay, right? There are some children who will resist some of these things that you guys want to do, right? There's some resistance level in some children. When it happens that way, what are some of the practical ways parents can go around it, or yourself or your team have in place, so that when you meet children or people who are resisting being guided and what have you have in place to just ease them off into what you want to do?
Okay, so again, you see, this is we've talked. I mean, every single time one of us speaks, we know that we bring to this our own experiences, and that therefore makes. I mean, that's what would have attracted us to do this. So I would say when you've got, I mean, particularly, so I would say when you look at this situation, the boys particularly, no disrespect to the two of you, but boys particularly are the ones who are more resistant. I wouldn't say most resistant, but more resistant, because they just think that they know everything. What are you going to tell me? What do you mean about guiding me? I know what I want to do. But I think using, again, sort of case studies, good example, look at sort of, and also each of us, we stand there as role models to say, look, it was through mentoring that we've managed to get to it, or we've mentored people who've managed to get to that point where they're successful. I think you can't force people, mind you. If people don't want to be, I mean, you can tell I'm the kind of liberal person. I'm not going to force you to do that. But what I would suggest is that you listen. You come in, you listen. We talk to you about. So if you've got a difficulty, talk to you about, the various stages in which you want. So what are you finding difficult, particularly? Where do you actually see yourself? What is your plan? And I think sometimes through talking, people actually come to the end where they realize that, okay, I'll give it a shot. And the way to do that as well is do it in small chunks. Don't try and suggest that, because your child, if we come back to sort of wayward, so if you're wayward or you're resisting, I don't want to go and talk to anybody about mentoring. I already know what I want to do. This is why are you asking me to talk to this person about this and the other? No, you just say, right, come and talk to us, and we'll just ask you, because I think it's showing an interest. I generally find that people who tend to resist are either maybe they have a plan and they don't think they're being listened to, or maybe they have a plan but they don't quite know how to go about it. So whoever you are, either from your mentoring or even from a parent's perspective, you've got to break it down into manageable chunks. Let's just start you off, do a little bit of this, come and talk to us, and we'll explain to you where we can help you. And then just concentrate on the end goal. And that's with everything. If you know that, whatever your plans are, and I don't necessarily aspire to the big things. I mean, you remember when we were growing up in Ghana, it was doctor, engineer, lawyer, accountant. There were so many other things that our children can be doing. So many other things, as long as they can make successful a successful, thing out of it. So I would say that you just talk them through it, and get them to understand a plan and have a plan with them. But for me, it's always been about engaging. You've got to engage. I can't say that enough.
Yeah. Papa, imagine, I think a lot of our audience, our hearers may have seen the film called Titanic. I'm sure you've seen Titanic, right?
That's right.
Now, we know why Titanic sank. That little iceberg above the water was nothing compared to the huge, huge boulder that was below the water. So when you're looking at children challenging behaviors and resistance, you always have to see that you have to think what we say to parents, it's all about the tip of the iceberg. The iceberg is what the problem is. So it's about exploring why the behavior is just a symptom of what is going on in the family. Yeah. And we've already mentioned sometimes the parenting might be very, very strict, and the child will fight back. It could also be that the child might be being bullied. It could be online. There are so many different reasons why a child is resistant. Of course, there are children and young people who might have genuine problems, like they might be autistic, they might have conditions like ADHD. But even those conditions, even if they've got autism, it's because they've not been diagnosed with autism, and so they are anxious, and so they'll come out as if they are resistant. So it's all about identifying where the triggers are, you see. And this mentoring is not us doing anything directly with the child, particularly children under 18 and children under 18. It's working with the parent. As mentors and as coaches, we are like a soundboard. So we are giving the parent the tools that we feel we can give for them to support their child.
Okay.
Within those tools, if I think that the child needs to go and seek professional help, I will tell them, because we all have our competences. I don't say I'm not trained in being a relationship expert or a parent support expert. All these people have, expertise, and they've studied and they've got competences for it. But we can open our mouth, tell the parent, advise the parent about mentoring methods that they can use, explore some of those things with the parent. And then as part of that tool set, as part of that skill set, if we need to ask the parent to seek extra help, we will. Because that is what, we're not counselors. We're not here to counsel people. We are here to be a soundboard, to explore things with parents, so we can guide them to go on to the next stage.
Beautiful. We have about 15 more minutes to go, but I have some 2 case studies here that I want us to address. I love case studies. Yes, I love case studies. Well, let's assume a parent has discovered the child smoking at the age of 15 years, right? Where or what should this parent do? Where should she begin from in addressing this particular case? Because she doesn't want to see the child growing to become a chain smoker or a smoker. She has realized the child is smoking. Where does she begin from?
Okay. So first of all, I'll be asking the parent, a little bit more about how whether they think that the child is smoking, because you'd be surprised that parents might say that they think that the child is smoking and it's a suspicion. Mm-hmm. It could just be a suspicion. So it's about whether they are suspecting that the child is smoking, or somebody like a friend. How we are African women, we see our friends' children who come and, this is how we are, especially mothers. Or they've actually seen the child smoke. And then also I'll be interested to look at the environment, because is somebody smoking in the family? Because if somebody is drinking or smoking in the family, it's highly likely that I might pick that habit up. Yeah. So I'm exploring what is happening in the home. And then I will be exploring. So if, for example, they've said negative to all that, and obviously they are really stressed and that the child is smoking, then the next bit is trying to explore with them, what have they told their own child? How have they reacted to the smoking? Are they like, bashing everything and threatening? And, one of the things that we normally say, oh, I'm going to take you back to Ghana. Some of those threats. I've said it before. When we are angry, I mean, every African mother has the way we react. It's, my children always do it back to me. But then, so how has dad reacted if that is in the system? How is mom reacting if that is? So for me as a mentor, apart from obviously ensuring, looking at going through education, making sure that we both know as a parent and myself that, smoking is bad for the health and everything. Be exploring more. My focus will be on the reaction. Yeah. Because me and this parent want this child to stop, isn't it? But there's something about the child themselves being willing to stop. And they can stop and pretend to stop, but they can actually go and do it behind you. So it's all about education. So reaction in that, making sure you are communicating the health issues to the talking to that child. Like I love what Samantha was using. Samantha has kept using things like engaging. Not imposing, not you have to do this, the way we wag our fingers. But it's engaging, making sure they understand. They are so young. They may be doing it because they feel it's peer pressure, it's cool, but making sure that the child understands the harmful effects of it. And then giving the parents the tools to explore how they are doing this. And perseverance. And I would really, really suggest making sure they also make an appointment to see the GP. Because you know what, sometimes it's good to take it away from the parent, and then get somebody, either a school nurse, because they have so many of these health promotion things within the school and within the GP surgery. So definitely, if that doesn't succeed, then definitely, obviously we can support the mom as well or the dad through parent heritage, as long as the child is sitting with them, that's fine. But definitely through going through a health expert through the schools or the GP will be one of the things I'll be suggesting.
All right, beautiful. Let me go straight to Samantha before we run it up with Marvin. Samantha, you have been known for, as Susan said, one word, engaging. Well, is there a particular age where a parent can begin to engage the child, or right from birth you start engaging the child?
Okay, so I guess, once again, I can only use my own personal experience. I don't know, I am not a qualified child expert, other than being, I think, a reasonably good parent. Engaging, so for me, I have two boys, and we're here in London, and it's the general worries that we have all the time. So I have this thing where when they come in from school at the end of our working day or their working day, I want to know what they've been up to. You strike a conversation. You get to a point, particularly with teenagers, where you're getting one syllable responses. How was your day? Good. What have you been up to? Not much. That's two words. And then the next thing is, are you hungry? Yeah. But at some point, I remember someone teaching me about talking, having open-ended questions that mean that it requires more than a yes or a no. What have you been up to today? Is a good one. Or how are your friends? Because also it's quite key. When you're trying to take your child through, it's important to know who their friends are and what they're up to with their friends. So you've got to sort of try and find a way, because I think for me, that's sort of how I managed to understand what my children were up to or who they're with. But a certain part of you knows that if you don't ignore your children, just because, I mean, my boys know this, they talk to me as and when, not because I'm boring, but because they kind of see me as, the mum who comes in and chat. But it doesn't matter to me. I'm still in there. You know, whether they want to chat or not, I'm the engager. I'm in there. I feel that's my job. And all right from the start, from the time that they were little, when I was taking them through from swimming lessons to football to whatever, you get in there. You're not just you as a mum, but you're as a father. Both of you just engage with your children. You've got to get into the point where you talk. Find a subject, something that they love doing. If you watch football together. If you like Formula One, watch Formula One together. Whatever, just do it. You've got to have something that you can actually all do together, because that's a good way, I think, of engaging. Yeah,
I love that bit. You know, many parents don't even know the interest of their children.
Yeah.
Right. And when you get to know the interest of your children,
Good point.
that is a good starting point. So Marvin, tell me, what are your interests?
Okay, cool. My interest, I love traveling and I love football. I have a season ticket to the Arsenal, and I love traveling, and my job makes me travel. So, but as my colleagues who know, that's coming to a halt because I'm switching the scope. So I've always loved traveling and seeing new things. I'm quite adventurous. So, and I found myself in employment that allowed me to do that as well. So traveling, seeing the world, understanding different cultures. And I'm a football fanatic, where I'm not just the football person that just goes and views. I'm that one that goes all the way into tactics and then wants to understand the real dynamics and the root cause of issues and stuff. So Samantha said Formula One. Yes, that's another one. I'm quite one of my interests as well. So I'm your standard kind of guy who loves the regular stuff that boys, or should I say men, tend to love. So yeah, that's mainly my interest. And through my interest, that has led that's helped channel my current path, where I find myself. So as I said, I love traveling. I always wanted to find a job where I could do that. And yes, I was able to do that. So going back to why I've joined this, why I think it's been beneficial, it's about understanding an individual and asking, what do you want to do, right? I remember I was doing a mentoring bit with the school, a sixth form, and everyone wanted to talk to me because the way I approached what I did was I said, oh, what do you do? I said, I travel a lot, right? And kids hear things and they just want to hear more, right? So it's all about the approach, right? So that's how I get the attention. And everyone wanted to talk to me, but we only had 3 minutes to talk to an individual. So after that, everyone's, well, what do you do? I want to know what you do. And I say I'm playing half the time, right? So, and kids want to hear that kind of stuff. So it's about understanding what people want, and being able to be a support guide in regards to that. So those are my interests.
Beautiful. Would you say your parents were able to use your interest as a key to engage in you?
Yes and no. So I left home when I was 16, right? So my dad, yes, my dad was the flexible one. My mom was the one who said, we live in our car, so go to Achimota. And I was the one saying, no, I want to go to Cape Coast. And she said, no, when you go to Cape Coast, you end up smoking. So, so yes. So I came from a home where my dad was flexible and liberal. My mom always won because she was the strict one. But I would say, I think having that, being fortunate, being on my own from 16, I had that flexibility where extended family were able to have an input. So yeah, I'll just formulate it. I'll just leave it like that. Yeah.
Enough said.
Yes, enough said. Well, we've been talking to One-to-One Mentoring Network, a very beautiful network who seek to use their experiences to help parents guide them in mentoring their own children, right? Listening to them today, I can tell they have a lot to offer. Without much ado, I'll just go right away to Susan so that she will let us know where exactly they are, how we'll be able to contact them, their social media handles. I think Marvin is the champion in that field. And, any few modalities that if any one of us would want to use them, we would have to go through so that we can get in touch with them. So, Madam Susan, over to you.
Thank you again. Thank you again. Yes, it's been a lovely hour. So yes, I would really encourage anyone at all who either you want to be a mentor for our network, it's a charitable organization, not for profit, or a mentee. You also could join the Parent Heritage, and mind you, we've had parents who want their children to go through university, medical school, college, apprenticeships, and they don't really quite know the system. We are hoping to work also with people traveling from Africa who want to come and either start a career or come into schools here. So we've got some contacts in, for example, Ghana, who will hopefully be working with some of the councils, foreign councils. We can work with some of our consulates here as well. So what we want to be is to be visible, that, look, we are a network of professionals coming from diverse backgrounds. And we are here to empower and enable people from our communities. And you can find us at www.one-to-one-mentoring.com. 1 and then number 2, 1 mentoring.com. You can join as a mentor, a mentee. You can indicate that you want your child to join through yourself, the Parent Heritage. We don't tend to encourage below 18-year-olds, but you can come to your parents. And also, you can sponsor us as well. You can donate financially to our cause because it's a not-for-profit. So, yes, it's definitely a worthy cause to join. And I think it's the first of its kind in the UK. I'm very confident of that. Having a number of people together from diverse professions coming together from the Black and minority ethnic community.
Beautiful. Let me ask Marvin briefly. Marvin,
Yes.
how is the presence of one-to-one mentoring network on the social media? How is it?
Cool. So at the moment we have a Twitter page. I was literally about tweeting right now when you just asked me one. So we have a Twitter page where people can connect and update themselves regards to our current activities. And we have a LinkedIn page as well, where obviously it's a corporate network where people can find. Just go into the search engine on
Website.
Twitter, put in 121, so ONE2ONE mentoring network. Within Twitter, you find a logo, you can engage, you can literally follow, so you can subscribe and get feeds regards to what we're doing. We put opportunities there as well regards to apprenticeship, internships. So just even if you don't want to join, just sign up, subscribe, and just get some feeds that might be beneficial to yourself. We have a Facebook page as well. We're looking to put more activity regards to Instagram and stuff as well. So yeah, we're quite on the dominant platforms.
Thank you very much, gentlemen and beautiful ladies, for today. I said I had 2 case studies, but I think I'll hold on to the last one
For the next one.
when we come again next 2 weeks. But a question just came through, and then it was about, many a time we have children of pastors or religious leaders turning out to be, quite troublesome, right? Not to cite a particular case, we had one pastor in Ghana, top pastor. Let's put it that way.
I know.
You know that story, right?
We know the story.
Yeah,
We know the story. Yeah.
I think next 2 weeks we would have to use that as a case study.
Yeah.
Why it
Yeah.
turns out that way, and then possible help that we can offer parents to that effect.
Can I quickly say, Papa, that this is, the first, when you asked me the first question, I said every person comes and created with their own gifts. Yes, we are not clones
That's
of
right.
our parents. And so our children will have to sometimes discover their own way. Yeah, and I think when particularly our pastors and our archbishops and our bishops and our, somehow people hold them to very high regard, understandably so, but they almost feel as if their children should be a miniature of them. And I think it's unfair and it is wrong. Yeah, it's almost like me being a doctor. So definitely your child should be a doctor. And I think there's that level of judgment sometimes that happens with some of our very upstanding leaders in the community that, oh my goodness, this man of God and the child is doing that. That has no bearing on the man of God. At the end of the day, God also will, put each and every one on their own spiritual journey. Like the way the Lord has done with each and every one of us individually, the Lord will do so for his children. I look at it as he's a potter, and as a potter, he shapes the clay. He shapes the clay. We do what we can, but it is God who shapes the clay. So it doesn't matter who you are, whether you are a pastor, you are a doctor, you are a lawyer, it doesn't matter. God is the one that shapes the clay. And I think as Christians, we should understand that, and be less judgmental on men of God. Ghana, we like to use the word men of God whose children go by the wayside. Yeah.
We will go in detail of this, right? When we come again next 2 weeks. For me,
Okay.
When I was young, I never thought I was going to sit behind the console. I wanted to play for Arsenal, right? Yeah, but here I am. Here I am. But we will go into detail systematically when we come again next 2 weeks. Thanks so much for your time.
Enjoyed it as usual.
Spent with us today.
See you
right?
in 2 weeks.
Sure, definitely.
Bye-bye.
All right then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Legendary beats.